Hello, and welcome to my tutorial for PsycInfo. Today we're going to learn about searching for a general topic and ways we can narrow down our search to a manageable number of results. We'll start from the UNT Library's homepage, where we'll choose the Databases tab. From here you can click on P and scroll down to PsycInfo, or just type it into the search window. We do get two results, but I do know and can tell you that it is the same database. So click on one of those and it'll tell you a little bit about our database we're about to enter. PsycInfo is created by the American Psychological Association and it's produced by EBSCO. It lets you know that this database has peer-reviewed literature in the behavioral sciences and mental health. Some of the other topics that are included that may not directly be behavioral science or mental health but do touch on those subjects. And the dates of coverage. Some of the dates of coverage go back to the 1600s. Journals go back to 1872, and chapter and book coverage is from 1987. Click on Connect to PsycInfo to get into the database. Here you'll enter your UNT credentials and log in. So for our topic, we can pick up pretty much anything that we want to know about any subject in psychology. I am interested in criminal psychology, so let's try and find us a topic that's relevant there. I read Silence of the Lambs, and recently it was on TV, and I'm all interested in psychopaths. So let's click on Thesaurus and see what we can find out about psychopaths. If we go over here, it's going to let us know that psychopath is not a recognized term, and it uses antisocial personality disorder instead. However, you'll notice that psychopathy is a recognized subject heading. If we click on there, it's going to let us know a little bit about the term. It was introduced into the database in 2007. A little bit about the scope, the personality traits marked by egocentricity, impulsivity, and lack of emotions. The term was discontinued in 1997. In 2000, it was removed from all records containing it and replaced with antisocial personality disorder. And in 2007, it was re-entered as a relevant search item. So let's go ahead and stick with psychopathy. Add it to our search window. And now we have a descriptor of psychopathy that we're going to search for. All right, that's going to give us almost 2,000 results. That's kind of a lot of results. Probably too many for us to look through. So this is where we get into ways we can refine our results. The first way you start is over here under Refine Your Results, click on Show More. You'll see that the top has some expanders. If we had done a search that came up with no results or only a couple of results where we expected to find a lot, we could use those to expand our search. That's not our problem today. Today we want to limit. So ways that we can limit, you can look for certain publication dates, you can look for certain journal types or publication types, you can narrow down by language, by age groups. There's a lot of different things. I like to start with a general way of narrowing things down before getting anything too specific, because you can narrow yourself out of a search. One of the best ways is by document type. For our purposes, our instructors want us to use specific types of sources, namely book chapters and journal articles. So we'll click on book chapter and then hit Control and click on journal article, and let's see how much that narrows us down. It's still a lot, still 1,500 results, which is going to be too many to go through. So what are some other ways we can narrow our search? We can narrow the number of years that we want to go back. Maybe we don't really want to know what they thought about psychopaths in 1918. Let's say we just want to see what the literature has for us from the last, maybe 5 years. Still over 700 results. Now, if we scroll down a little farther, we could narrow down to just peer-reviewed journals and books, or just peer-reviewed journals and leave out the books, but I like to have both of those in there. So let's look at some major subject headings. This is where you can really narrow down a general search. Maybe you aren't quite sure what aspect that you want to approach from the topic, so this will give you some ideas. For instance, you can look at juvenile delinquency and how psychopathy relates to juvenile delinquency. Risk factors, you can look at brain disorders that might influence the disease, differences in gender, how that might change. So there's a bunch of different major topics you can choose from. I'm interested in how people come about becoming psychopaths, so let's look at etiology. That's going to give us 14 results, which is actually a pretty reasonable number of results. However, if we wanted to narrow it down even further, we could go down here and look at age groups and say, oh wow, we want young adulthood only, there's only 4 results there. We could really get into some quick information that way. I'm going to leave it at the 14 and go back up here to our refined results, and I think I'm going to ask just for full text. The reason I like to do this is that then you have a nice short, oh, I hate to erase some of my other things. You're going to have a nice short list that's going to be 5 results in this case. And you can link directly to the full text. You can save those journal articles directly into your account in EBSCO, or you can save them onto your computer. And we can go from there. Now, as I said, you can always stick with the original results that we had before we linked to full text. And 14 results is pretty doable. One other thing I would like to mention, if you click on one of the titles of the papers and you look at the abstract and you say, wow, that's exactly what I wanted to know, that really sounds great. You can also look at the subject headings down here and enter those subject headings in a search and see what you get that has those precise subject headings. But we're going to leave this one at here for now. You can go back to our results list. Go over to our alerts and email the search link to ourselves. That'll be the end of our tutorial for tonight. Thank you.